Hi everybody, happy Martin Luther King Day. I hope everybody's having a good day. We had a super busy day today. I typically have anywhere from I'd say 30 to 34 clients in on a regular Monday, which is my busiest day. We had 44 people in today and it was just crazy busy. So I was hurrying. Just got done literally 10 minutes ago, so I was hurrying to get in here to get all this set up. So excuse the mess when we start wandering around here. I'm going to be a little interactive today. We're going to chat here for about 10 minutes or so, and then I'm going to walk the gym and kind of show you the whole focus for today is our partner training, the way we've set up our gym for pretty much partners of any demographic that we're working with, but specifically today with our older populations. And then a lot of the equipment use that we get. I get a lot of questions from fairly established trainers that are kind of making that transition from the idea of either running independent business inside someone else's gym, and then they're thinking about going to their own space, or they're renting space inside another facility and they want to bring in some of their own equipment. And so we start looking at footprint basically issues. How much space is a piece of equipment going to take up, and how many usages does that one piece have? And so you might look at something like a leg press and say, this could be really beneficial for all my clients to use. On the other side, it's like it does leg press, I can do single leg press, I can do calf raises. Only one person can use it at a time. That's about it. You could tie resistant bands to it to do your shoulder warm up. Like that's about it. Where we could look at, a pair of bands and an anchored station where you can hook those bands at any different height. All kinds of different bands, multiple different people can use it at the same time. You've got hundreds of different exercise variations. So we gotta have an open mind in that sense of what singular pieces or multiple pieces are we gonna utilize in the space that we have. Is it a big enough footprint, and is it as valuable as we need to take up that space? So we're considering getting a hammer strength plate loaded lunge and deadlift machine, basically a hinge deadlift machine. And I feel like that would be so valuable for our demographic and our clientele, where we could really work those components as needed. But it's a 6 by 5 foot space that's going to take up some space in a 2,500 square foot gym. We have to be able to weigh the pros and cons of a piece like that. So those are the things we'll kind of jump into as we talk about this today. Just a reminder, this is starting this Saturday. If you're interested, we did a one-day kind of learn as much as you could in 8 hours a day in November. And I went through our entire philosophy and all of our programming, and we were able to just kind of skim the surface and maybe 4 or 5 exercises on each component as we went through this. And it was a lot of content in one day. It was a lot to absorb, and I didn't get through all the stuff I wanted to get through. So we're taking the same approach, same philosophy. It's based on our business components as we have this. And we're basically 12 different pieces. We're going to do one each month for 2 hours. And our early bird special is ending this Friday. So if you're interested in doing this, let me know. But basically 2 hours on each of these topics as we come down. I'm sure you can't see it all that well from here. But basic ideas are all the philosophies, all of our training components, and all of our business strategies behind how we run our business for training the older adult. So we'll have all those pieces to go through. You're welcome to join us. It starts this Saturday. And we're going to do one every month for the next 12 months as we go through. So one of the two options, or the two components that we look at when it comes to partner options, we have two things we look at. We have something called geared lifting, where the individual, each client has all their own gear, and we have enough. We've got 70 different dumbbells and a whole bunch of different bands and all kinds of different stuff here that basically everybody gets their own equipment. They all set up in one spot, and they're able to work at their own pace based on the client's ability and their experience in the world of training with us. We could take somebody that is a rookie that's on their very first day, and a person that's been with me for 10 years that knows exactly what they're doing and just really needs some little basic cueing and consulting as we go through, and they can all train together at the same time. Strength and conditioning, especially for older populations, can be very nerve-wracking. It can be an intimidating situation for them to come into, and it can be really challenging for them to be able to put their fears aside and come in with a bunch of other people who already know what's going on. They know exactly what to do, and they're the person that's lost. They're the person that doesn't really know exactly how to do all these things. So if you put them into timed intervals or sets or routines where everybody else knows what's going on, and they're the one person that's kind of lost, being singled out, you're right next to them the whole time coaching them, they're going to feel a little bit embarrassed. And so that's where geared workouts are really great for these situations, because everybody can have all their own stuff and it's not dependent on anybody else. If I'm very, very fit and you're not, we can work out at the same time for 25 minutes, have a great workout, and maybe I did 8 rounds of all my exercises and you did 2. Or we're both, brand new and we're in a group of 6 other people and we all do well with that. And so we want to set it up to where they have their own gear, they have their own pace, they're still getting instruction, they see other people that are kind of the same issues, the same goals, the same components that they are focused on or they're training for. So they're in the right environment, they're just new, they're just rookies, and they're going to learn this as they go. But that environment, the people that they're around, that's the contagious team building component that they want and that they need and that we know is more beneficial for them. But it's in a brand new box. It's something brand new they have not experienced before. So we need to have an opportunity to showcase what we do, but still put them in an environment where they can feel successful doing things at their own pace. Okay? So we really focus on keeping this simple. On the other side, we have what we call paired workouts, and so these are for clients and really any demographic that we have, but especially our older pops. We really like to do these workouts where they have a partner through each component as they go through. If they don't have all their own gear, we'll have stations, and that's kind of what I have set up here for you. We have different stations that we're going to go through, and there are different ways that we can do these that keep a good variety to them and still allow them to work at the tempo that they want to work at. We have give and goes, so you and I are partners. We're doing battling ropes. And for 30 seconds, I'm going to go. And the partner's hanging out, and they're watching. And so I go 30 seconds, I'm done. I did 120 reps, and I hand to my partner, so I'm now giving, and the partner goes. And then they go, and they did 80 reps. Well, we both went for 30 seconds. We got our intervals in. We're working together. We're having timed recovery. But I was able to work at a little higher intensity because I'm in a little bit better shape, okay, etc. So that's a give and go. Then we have different interval-based ones that we can do superset, tricep, single set. And though those are very common terms that we use with a partner work, you can have a partner do 12, and then the other partner does a give and go, they do 12. And then we do 10 and 10, and then 8 and 8, and they tear down, or we can tear up. Or we can do a tricep where there's 2 different exercises, and they have to do a pull over, and then a row, and then a curl. And they'll hit 12 of each one, and then 10 of each one, and then 8 of each one. It's still a basic strength training component. It's whatever you're programming for the day. But with a partner, as they cycle through, it gives them someone to work with as they're coming through this. Somebody that maybe is a little bit more experienced or a little bit stronger. I call it kind of the tortoise and the hare. Somebody is going to be in the lead and someone's going to want to pursue. And the client that's either in better shape or they're stronger, they're pushing and driving and leading to stay in the front. And the other partner is always kind of continually trying to catch up, either strength-wise or conditioning-wise. The more fit client doesn't want to get caught, so they're going to push to try harder, and the other one wants to catch up, and they're going to push and try harder. And that's the whole point of partner training, is to be able to push each other. Even at different levels or at different strengths, we're going to have abilities to work together to make each other better. So you can work into those. I really like ascending and descending workouts. What I mean by that is basically like a pyramid workout. So we're going to do, bench press and deadlifts. And we're going to do 8 reps of each, 10 reps of each, 12 reps of each, and then go back down. That would be an ascending workout, ascending, descending, or pyramid. Or we'll invert it. We'll do an inverted pyramid, which we call descending workout. So you do 12, 10, 8, 10, 12. That starts hard and it ends hard. And those are very challenging. Okay, those are ones that I really like to do. Each day when we come in, we have all of our clients, no matter what the goal is that they're training for. And again, the majority of our clients, average age 63 now. We did the math just not too long ago. The average client coming in, 63 years old, we have a strength training component that pretty much addresses everybody's needs for the most part. And almost all of our clients, I'd say 90% of them, we all do that first bit of strength. And that's anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes of programming, of training for them to do. And then after that, and I'll show you all the boards behind me. I'm using my phone today, so I'm hoping this wider angle gives you a little bit more to see, and we'll walk around here in a bit. But you'll see each component now. We all have this basic strength component we did, and then based on each person's goals, what they're training for, we now have a different whiteboard or a different either conditioning or second strength component that they're going to go to. And we can personalize all that as we go out. So all our own gear, all of our own programming, or we can do it in pairs, working with individuals that are pretty close to the same strength, pretty close to the same conditioning, and having all kinds of different variations, being creative in there. From supersets to trisets to teardowns to railroads to intervals, high intensity intervals, active insufficiencies, so basically not active insufficiency, active recoveries. So when they're taking a break from something, getting them on the ground and working on mobilities that they need to specifically work on, to pretty much anything else that we want to put in. You can be as creative as you want. Our movement prep and our warm-up are exactly the same every day the client comes in, basically for 3 months. Every 10 to 12 weeks we change that. And when we change it, it's maybe half, okay? The rest of the programming is different every single day. The cool down is a little bit different, but mostly focuses on the same stuff. But all the stuff you see behind me, all of our main meaty strength and conditioning components change every single day. I have yet to repeat the exact same workout since 2004. Since the philosophy was we need to work in different directions, different components. To give somebody 4 different exercises and say, do these 4 on Monday, Wednesday, Friday for sets of 8. And then the next week, same thing for sets of 10. And then the same thing next week for sets of 12. To me, number one, that's boring. I find it to be very, very boring. I want a workout that is interactive and challenging, and that's me at 37 years old, wanting clientele older in their age to stay sharp, and we know that mental training and mental component of what we have is so important to what we do as our clients age, that we need to have mentally challenging workouts just as much. They need to be able to find it on the board, see what they're doing on the board, figure out, am I alternating or is it single? Am I using drop set weight or is it same set weight? Am I going up on this round or not? Does the interval dot change or is it the same? These things are important components for us to keep our brain sharp just as much as our body as we train through this. So maybe if I'm giving client homework to do a couple of things on their own on other days of the week, that's a big maybe. I'll do something basic like that, just because I don't want to give them too much or have them too many things that are technical to remember as they're training on their own. I would prefer to have some changing variables or drastically changing variables every day when they come in, so they're always learning something new. They're looking forward to, I have no idea what's coming today. And muscle confusion and all that kind of stuff, I think, if you know the background of our body and how it works, there's really no such thing. It's all neuromuscular. It's all in our brain to learn these patterns. And once we have them down, we've got it. Okay? And there is no such thing as muscle memory. That might be a whole other talk that I'm going to tangent off of. It's our body's ability to learn the patterns of how to do these movements. And if every day something like that changes, unilateral to bilateral, from single support to double support, from double support to inline support, from a barbell to dumbbells to a sandbag, from a rigid implement to a not rigid implement. I mean, all these variables can change, but on a daily basis we cover our basic pieces. Okay, so without getting into a whole programming component, I just want to kind of give you a basic idea of what we'll look at or what we'll kind of address in a day. Those basic parts, you've probably seen this before. I know it's hard to see on the screen. When we get done, feel free to email me. I'll send you the PDF from today. This is our older adult program design. Balance, implement tracking, our hinge, our row press raise, that's one. All of our split stance training, and then loaded carries, FBAs, manipulation strength. Basically anything that has to do with on the floor or carrying weight. Those are the 6 components we're going to address every day. The Cosgroves do a great example of showing this, saying that it's basically a recipe for making cookies. Alan Cosgrove, I heard him say this in 2005 or 6, somewhere a long time ago. I can give you a recipe for how to make a cookie, and it can come out pretty much the same way every time, but the unique component to it is we have to have these basic parts. It has to be heated at 350, and it has to have butter and chocolate chips and whatever, and it goes in and it has to go for 12 minutes and you have to let it rest. Like, we all have to do that. There has to be a basic component to what we do, but beyond that, that's where we can be creative. That's where we can step outside of our recipe, outside of our blueprint, and make it as challenging, as specific as we want it to be. Do I want my cookies with icing or with caramel or with ice cream or whatever, right? You can make it, but the whole point was I needed a basic component to get to this point, to get this recipe done. And then beyond that, I can make it how I want. And that's what this is. Our 6 components are most simple to a little bit more advanced to the most advanced, the ones down here at the end. Okay, those are the ones that we really address or we really focus on. And then we use the term macro cycle. The world of strength and conditioning looks at a macro cycle as like a 4-year Olympic cycle or at least a year-long cycle. So I call it a mini macro cycle because we're not training for like one culminating event with general populations, with general health and fitness. They're just training all the time, continually for life. And there might be like 2 weeks or 3 weeks out of the year. With my population, they go on vacation quite a bit. So maybe 4 or 5 weeks a year where they're gone or where they're in and out. But that changes with everybody. It's constantly on the change. So I can't really say like this week's going to be off and this week's going to be a preseason and then we're in the there isn't that. So we created a 12-week cycle. That 12-week cycle goes, that's our little mini macro cycle. That's the whole programming is 12 weeks. And then when that 12-week program is over, typically we have something that we're testing. We just did bench press. The first time in 5 years we bench pressed people beyond our strongmen and our power lifters for performance. And we had a 7% increase or 8% increase. I don't have my exact numbers up here, but people did really well. We had a great improvement. We have the hex bar deadlift coming up next. We did balance, single leg balance training one before. We did a wall sit one before. Like every one, we just pick something different that we want to kind of train for just to keep things interesting testing wise. But we want to have some kind of blueprint, some kind of direction, something that every week we're going to say, what's our volume control? And this is our little mini macro cycle on how to kind of put all that together. Different focuses, different challenges, why are we training, how are we training, reps, sets, all the volume controls, okay? So based on the basic components that we have, we know the 6 things we want, we know the volume controls as we go along, we can control that, we can do a little pre-testing, a little post-testing, and that cycle will just continue. Now, is it perfect for everybody? No, because we might have somebody that's, off to Hawaii for 2 weeks in the middle, and that affects things. But the majority of our clientele, they're here to do this as we go. Okay. One more little review on this. This is coming up this Saturday. If you want to join us, please do. The link is on Facebook, and I'll also be able to email you or message you if you have any questions about it. Feel free. Here's my email address, robertlinkle@gmail. You can also find more about it at bestrongerfitness.com under the mentoring and career development section. And again, we are doing Facebook Lives like this every other Monday. Okay, so 2 weeks from today, we'll be back on here live with you doing this. So let's jump around and go see the weight room a little bit. And we'll talk about some of these components. I'm going to run around behind the camera and flip things around here and walk you around a little bit. So don't panic. Me disappearing here. And you get to see my lovely mug up here close. Let me flip so I can see what you're all seeing. All right. So basic idea of our facility when clients come in, and this is from the front door, right when they walk in the door, they're going to come over, they're going to grab our mini bands and a mat and take their shoes off, put all their stuff down in here, and then they're down on the floor. I don't know if you can see this all that well, but there's a division line here. There's white speckled flooring on this side. Okay, where's my finger at? White speckled flooring over here, blue speckled flooring over here. The blue indicates that this is the side of the room where there's not going to be any weights, and we're going to be able to, they're going to be safe to take their shoes off and not get hurt when they're down here. On this side, we call this between the pipes because we have these big white pipes out here. On this side, this is where all the strength training is going to occur and where we're going to set everything up. Okay, so this will give you a little idea of where we're training at when we do this. Okay, so basic components of a partner workout. We have 2 of everything. You see we have 2 ring rows up here. We have 2 alpha straps that are hanging down on this guy. We've all kinds of sets of dumbbells. We have 2 of everything from 2.5 pounders all the way up to 70s over on this side, by 2.5s all the way up to 30 pounds. So with older pops as well, we really want the facility to provide a lot of options for our older pops, and jumping from 5s to 10 can be really challenging. It can also be very challenging to go from 25s to 30s. So that's where those 2.5 increments can be really, really valuable. Okay. We did sit to stands today. So we had our chairs out and we had little butt pads or those foam pads in here as well. The clients were able to adjust the height of their seat a little bit. They were holding fat bells. So there's our dual rowers. We had dual ropes over here as well. And then all of our fat bells are our center mass bells all on this side, all the way down to our kettlebells And then in the back here is like our little staging slash conditioning area. We have our trampoline, our rope storage, and the yokes and all that other stuff, med balls, all that over there. And the great spot about this is always good for a laugh. The water is all stored over on this side, and ventilation for the dryer, but water output for our washer was only available on this side. So the room's kind of split. It's a little bit of a mess, but we love it. And if you haven't seen my office before, go ahead and finish the tour in my eating breakfast, excuse me there. This is great, so professional. So there's the office there. That's basically where I spend all my very early mornings in here getting that done. All right. So 2 of everything, 2 ropes, 2 rowers, 2 seated chairs, 2 benches. We had 2 boxes over there that normally would be set up, but that's my staging area for the presentation. And then all the dumbbell options that we can have. Okay, so you see everything we have set up on here. 2 physio balls, 2 full sets of plates up to 275 pounds. We have at least 2 varied sandbags from 20, actually all the way down to our sand balls down here at the end, from 8 pounds all the way up to 110 pound sandbags here. So a lot of options. That's my point of showing you all this. 2 Aerodyne bikes, 2 of everything. So when we get into our workout for the day, let me see. I know you're not seeing this right. I'm gonna have to switcherooski. There we go. We seen that better? Okay. So with this guy, different component for our clientele. Everybody, for the most part, typically starts with, we'll have strength first. We did kind of a special workout today, being Martin Luther King Day and such. We had kind of a group workout. We had so many people coming in. It was a big timed interval. So we had 25 seconds on, 10 seconds off. We did 5 sets of this where they were kind of burning through and having to keep what we call targeting reps. So repetitions that, similar to Tabata, you're trying to hit, 10 rows every time. We go a tiny bit longer, give them a few less sets to focus on, so they get to push a little bit harder, a little longer, a little sooner in the workout. So typically, though, we'll have kind of a strength first component in here. It'll be 3 or 4 exercises based on our macro cycle of 4 sets of 8, 3 sets of 10, whatever else we're working in here. Okay, so those would be the basics that we come into, and then branching off of that, we have second strength components up on here. If we have somebody else that their focus is really to get strong on what they're doing, there's not a huge concern for conditioning. We really want them to get specifically strong on, maybe it's for skiing, though there's a metabolic component to that and an endurance-based component to it. During our ski strong training, which starts 3 months before the ski season typically opens, this is like the worst year ever for skiing. So we had everybody ready to go in November. Normally they open on Thanksgiving Day. Well, they're open, but it's like the worst snow ever. So our conditioning program has branched even further now. We just extended things a bit to get people there. So we might have that as specific. We also do Golf Strong, which is in California is kind of like a year-round program. People golf here all the time, even with winter rates and all that. It's usually pretty good. We'll have some clients that have some physical limitations. Notice that's me. Sorry about the camera here. It's hard to do this myself and talk. Craig and myself, we both have very similar issues going on right now. So we have different programming in here, where Craig is able to do these barbell tractions that I like him to do, where I am not. That's something with hip replacements is not the best issue or exercise for me to do based on my issues, so I have a hip thrust replicated in there. When we did the alternating step-ups, that was not the best thing for Craig, so he had some bands to assist him on that. So even though the programming is the same for us and our goals that we're training for, I still have little tiny changes here and there to personalize this for. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of wonder, they're like, how do you train so many people or in such groups and still have a personalized approach to this? It's a lot of programming, and so there was a reason why I'm here at 2 in the morning or 2:30 in the morning, is to write all this stuff up here, be able to get each little bit for each person up on here to make it personalized. But if I have a client that's here for strength and conditioning and they like to train like a strongman, why would I write 2 different programs for the same goal? I can just personalize and change a couple of different things for them. So that's really, the base idea here. Steve Johns, we're working on some upper body strength, so we had an extra one for him in there after his main conditioning. And then our ADL group, our activities of daily living, these are our kind of our older populations. We have some entry-level clients, some brand new clients that come in, and people think ADL means old people, like it's the old person workout. That's not the case. This is the one that I do most of the time too. It just depends on ability level. So this is programming component that addresses all of our variables at a progressive rate, where with some of our main programming, might have clients that have been here for 5, 6, 7 years, and their physical limitations, my term is blank slate. We've built the client to the point where they're a blank slate. We don't really have a whole lot physical limitation wise to worry about. Then we're good to go with them. So we have just different components for each person as we do this, and that's the really valuable thing that we bring in as the personal trainer, as the strength and conditioning coach, the performance coach. We need to be able to bring in that personalized approach to each of them. That's the art of coaching, the art of personal training. It's very challenging, especially the more people you get in the room. There's a point where you're going to have too many people, and you're going to know it because things are not going as well as you would like, okay? So based on the intervals of what we're doing, the components of what we're doing, we try to do at least 2 of everything. You'll notice as well, I'll spin this back around here a little bit. You'll notice as well that all of our stuff gets put away pretty easily. The photo that we put up to market today's Facebook, the place was freshly mopped, so you could see that, but everything was put away. This is usually all put up, and since I'm going to be here a little later on with some more clients and tomorrow morning, I just leave it all set up. But this place gets all put away. We have a ton of space, and then the equipment is easy enough and easy enough to store that we can just put it all away, clean it all down, and get everything put up in between each training session if we needed to. So that's really the focus of what having the studio is about, working in partnered groups, giving them lots of options, giving them opportunities to work together, but still have a personalized approach and make things as personal as possible. I'll do this without smashing anything. Here we go. Still being able to deliver that product to them, but we know how valuable it is to train in a group and train with other pops and to have the energy that goes in here. I started off by talking about we had 44 people in here today. That's a lot of energy. When you're not feeling great, you're tired, your hips hurt, you're dragging, you're like, you know what, I just got to get there. I know what it's going to be like when I show up, and you come in the door and there's 6 people in here all kicking butt, and I'm yelling and calling times, and I'm like, hey, Steve, what's up? And Steve instantly gets this little boost of energy, and I've got my terrible 80s music on that I love, and you get down on the program floor and you start going through your routine, and all of a sudden energy starts to change, and that's the environment. That's why there's no open gym. We don't have membership. Like, it's a controlled environment. I'm a control freak because I want that environment to be a certain way. And so it all comes down, it's not just giving equipment options to have partners in here. It's putting the right people together for the right goals, for the right programming, and having programming. This is a huge culmination and gathering of all your skills and your abilities to be able to put something like this together. And it's not a pat on the back, it's just something that I've been building and trying to do for over a decade. And the fact that we're here now and we're able to share with other people really makes me proud, and I want to share it and be able to teach other people how to do this, because I think it's just fantastic. Not only does it provide me an opportunity to do exactly what I want with exactly who I want to, but it's a really rewarding job that we have in here. And we have so many great opportunities as trainers to affect people and their health and what they do. But I think there's been this mold of the personal trainer of this is how you're supposed to do it. And I'm a fan of breaking molds. I'm a fan of getting people to think outside of the box and to try things in a different way, to the point of naming my business Be Stronger. That's all I focus on, is getting people strong. And now they achieve and they pursue other goals, but the foundation of any goal that you need to be stronger to do it. And I can't really think of a fitness-based goal that doesn't include that. If you want to lose body fat, you got to get stronger. If you want to be more powerful, you got to get stronger. If you want to, be able to run a marathon, you got to name it. I want to be more flexible. You need strength training to help you get more flexible. I mean, these are all components that are a base necessity, and I feel like that's such a good core component. Know what it is you're good at and master that product and provide an environment and produce an environment that will help you achieve that. There's nothing better. So hopefully this gave you a little insight. I would love to do maybe a live one someday where everything is going. I thought about too, throw some likes or some thumbs up or something on there if you like this idea, but I was thinking about doing just an open Facebook Live for an hour, just basically having the camera on and viewing us as we're training, so you can kind of see how the flow of what we do every day. I don't know if that would be a terribly popular thing, but just being able to see the ups and downs and the flows and the coaching and the cueing rather than just a little clip. There's some dead time to it, but I think it would be pretty cool to showcase that. Okay, I see a whole bunch of likes and thumbs up, so maybe we'll do something like that in the future. But I really want you to get a feel for there's all kinds of different ways to do this job, and this hopefully will inspire you in some ways to do it your way. If you have any questions on the programming, any questions on our events coming up, feel free to hop in there and hop online, email me, email my wife. We can answer questions, get you on. I'd love to have as many people as possible on these webinars with us. It's so much fun. I love doing this. Thank you for joining us today. Email me if you want the PDF, if you have any questions from today. Have a great day. Again, happy Martin Luther King Day. I hope you enjoy the day, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. See ya.